And girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Clutch Conversations. It's your boy Mike. We are back at you one more again on a Thursday night. I hope everybody's having a great day. I know I'm ready to get into this interview, but before we get into this interview, a few housekeeping items. First and foremost, if this is your first time coming to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out a lot. Everybody watching this video on YouTube, please hit that like button. And definitely check out our guests. The links for our guests and all his social media platforms are in the description of this video. So really appreciate the support. Speaking of support, if you are involved in this hobby in any shape, form, or fashion, please make sure you're out there supporting US Art and US Art Florida. You can support both of those organizations regardless of where you live in the United States of America, regardless of where you reside at. Definitely make sure you're supporting those organizations. That's US Art and US Art Florida. The links for both of those organizations are in the description of this very video. Before we bring Herbert out, I want to say what's up to a few early pippers in the chat. So what's good? Metal Scales Reptiles. You said second, but you first on my list. From the order that I see. So you first to pimp tonight. What's good? Thanks for coming out. Chantel, what's good? Thanks for coming out. Pacific Rim Serpents, appreciate the support. The big homie Matt Yates, thanks for coming out. What's good, bro? Esteban, what's good, bro? What's good, bro? Kike, what's good, brother? Thanks for coming out. Appreciate the support. Eric, what's good, brother? Thanks for coming out. Thanks for coming out. Let's see who else we got. Constricted Connection. What's good, fam? Thank you for coming out. Blakers, Pythons, thanks for coming out. Chat going crazy early tonight. Jeremy, what's good, brother? Thanks for coming out. What's good? D's Balls and Exotics, thanks for coming out. Miguel, what's good, brother? Thank you for coming out. Sacred Serpents, Chantrell. That's a tongue twister. Say that 3 times fast. Thank you for coming out, Chantrell. PCF Funny Rolls. Thank you for coming out. Matt Burton, KMB Reptiles. Thank you for coming out. Chris Royal Constrictors. Thanks for coming out. The big homie right up the road, Brian. What's good, brother? Y'all make sure y'all go give Brian a vote for the Snakes and the Fat Man 15 Minutes of Lame contest. Go get a big homie a vote. Cole, what's good, brother? Thanks for coming out. What else we got? Look like I caught everybody. So without further ado, we're going to bring the homie Herbert to the stage from HB Reptiles. What's good, bro?
Well, what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing good, doing good, doing good. Happy to be here.
Me too.
So real quick, tell the people a little bit about yourself and give us a little bit of background outside of the reptiles.
Outside of the reptiles?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Right there's the start.
Man, outside of reptiles, I'm pretty boring. Man. I don't do much.
You sound like me, bro.
I'm a little bit of a gamer, and other than that, I'm kind of a homebody. I just kind of chill here and just got into reloading ammo within the past couple weeks, and that's kind of like my hobby. If you asked me, 3 weeks ago, hey, do you have a hobby? I would have been like, no. I don't do anything for fun. I take care of ball python. But no, I just started reloading ammo, so that's kind of fun. Dope, yeah.
So you
just started. So
rounds, or are you kind of doing a whole bunch of different ones?
Right now, just some 223. I got a bunch of them drying.
Oh, nice.
Here in the snake room.
Nice.
It's nice to dry there because it's a nice 80 degrees in here. But yeah, just something I'm kind of easing into, trying to make sure I don't blow myself up.
Okay, and so you in New York, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
What are the gun laws like there in New York?
They're horrible. They're absolutely horrible. We have pistol permits up here.
Okay.
Unfortunately, yes. Up until September, you could purchase a semi-automatic weapon with no problems. Now, thanks to our lovely governor that we have, you have to be 21 to purchase a semi-automatic rifle, and it's basically considered like a pistol permit. You have to actually have a permit to purchase like an AR-15 or even like a Ruger 10/22 that is automatic. It's not automatic, but semi-automatic and not bolt action. You actually have to get a permit for it. So it's crazy.
It's fairly,
crazy.
like, relatively speaking, it's fairly lax, in Florida.
Yeah, Florida's a great
like,
state for
it's
guns.
nothing like Arizona or Texas or anything like that, but it's
right.
relatively speaking, count my blessings, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's at least an open carry state.
Well, Florida's not open carry.
It's not?
Nah. So Texas is and Arizona is, but Florida isn't open carry. Georgia's open carry. Where I'm from is open carry, but Florida is not open carry.
Gotcha. Huh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, but
Florida's one of the 25 states that isn't. 25 are, 25 aren't. So obviously New York's not an open carry state.
Okay. So how long you been into the ammo? Not to get too deep down the guns and ammo rabbit hole, but how long you been into that? You said 3 weeks you started pressing, but I know you didn't just start 3 weeks ago. You didn't
pretty much, yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
So you just went straight into reload ammo? That's dope.
Yep. I got a bunch of equipment from my wife's grandfather when he passed away a couple years ago. And now I'm finally just trying to figure out what I'm doing, and obviously trying to do it the safe way, and trying to get more modern equipment so I can do it the best way. And yeah, a lot of learning, a lot of YouTube videos.
Okay. You get to go to the range much?
Not really. I've got a buddy that lives 5 minutes from me. I think it was Jeremy that commented in the comments there.
Okay.
He's an ex-Army Ranger, snake breeder as well. He's 5 minutes from me, so if I need to go shooting, I've got a good place up there and a good instructor.
Okay, that's dope. That's real dope.
Yeah.
So talk about how you got into the reptiles.
Man, pretty much my whole life. My story isn't much different than anybody else's. I grew up just starting with dinosaurs, and that just kind of morphed into other reptiles, and just looking at books and pictures when I was super young. And we lived near, like, on the outskirts of a city, and so there was some woods behind our house, and I would go back there and collect some garter snakes, and find frogs and turtles and milk snakes. And that was about it. Up here in New York, we don't have a lot of variety, especially where I live. There's really not much of anything. But
Gotcha.
And it just kind of morphed into that. There was a big gap from when, probably I was 15 or so. And at that point, like, I didn't have any more reptiles. And then I had left my job back in 2017 and told my wife, I'm like, I wanted a ball python for years, many, many years, and just never got one. So I think I'm just going to get one. And so I got on Craigslist, and I found someone that was getting rid of an enclosure and an adult female ball python and whatnot. And, I think I paid like $75 for everything. And just, there it was, kept it totally incorrect. It was in one of the big Exoterra, 18 by 18 by 36, enclosures, just a red light on top and a upside down Tupperware bowl that had a little spot cut out of it, for a hole for it to go in. And that was that, and then from there, I realized that there was a thing called reptile shows. I had no idea they existed. Okay. And so probably 3-4 weeks or so after I got my first ball python, I went to the reptile show and came home with, I think, nine ball pythons.
Oh,
just
wow.
Random morphs. And from that one show, I did everything you're not supposed to do getting into ball pythons. Just go out there and just buy with no plan, no thought about what you're doing. And
so when you bought those 9, at that point, were you just buying 9 just to have like 9 more ball pythons, or were you kind of like loosely thinking, hey, I'm going to breed these?
Yeah, I was loosely thinking. Like, I had already decided I was going to breed at that point. I guess I skipped that step in there. So in between me getting my first ball python and this reptile show, in that 3 or 4 weeks, I binged watched every single Brian Barczyk video there was on YouTube. Okay. And I told my wife, I'm like, I'm going to start breeding ball pythons. And she's like, okay. She's like, I support you. With that little bit of skepticism behind it, like, oh boy, I don't know if we're ready for this.
Yeah, I've been there before. I had a little bit of skepticism at first, but my wife's fully on board now.
That's awesome. It's good to have a supportive wife. It's very
100%,
difficult
100%.
to do something like this without the support of your significant other.
100%, brother. Yeah.
But yeah, so at that first show, we did have some thoughts, like some things we were looking for, and everything that I bought was all codoms. I didn't understand the recessive game back then or the importance of it, so everything I got was just codom animals, and just had no idea what I was doing, none whatsoever.
So like what, 5, 6, 7 years ago? But how long ago was this?
August of 2017.
Okay.
Is when I got my first ball python.
Okay. Dope.
Yep. So 5 years.
Yes, it was. Yeah, just over 5 years. That's what's up. And so you remember what you bought, like in that first 9, the Divine 9?
For the most part, yeah. I got a pastel female, a proven pastel female, whom I still have. She's actually given me 5 clutches since I got her.
Oh, wow.
Every single year I've bred her, I've gotten a clutch from her.
Solid.
This is going to be the first year I don't breed her because I think I'm past breeding things to a pastel female at this point. Let me see. What else did I get? I got a pastel Orange Dream female that 2 years later I ended up finding out was actually a male. Yeah, there's some advice for anyone new in this industry. Anytime you buy a new animal, sex it.
Oh,
same day you get it, sex it.
100%. I learned that.
I have made that mistake multiple times. Let's see. What else did I get? I got a cinnamon male. I got a het albino female. I got a spider male. I got a 1.1 Exanthic. My wife really likes the Exanthic stuff.
Okay.
So when before the show, I'd looked up prices on Exanthics, and back then some of them they were morphs, and I didn't even realize it. I'm like, oh, this one's like $1,000, and this one's $1,500. Not realizing there was more in it than just Exanthic. Gotcha. And so we get to the show, and the Exanthic project was there, and he had a whole bunch of Exanthics on the table, and we're looking at them, and he gave us a really good deal on just a 1.1, and I actually still have the female from there. Oh, she's nice. Probably just going to be a lifelong pet. She's just a sweetheart. Gave us our first clutch last year, 5th season. Nice. Finally gave us a clutch.
So what kind of made you target the recessive game? You spoke about like you invested in codoms kind of early on in the game, and then you switched it to recessive. So what kind of triggered the evolution of that mindset?
Honestly, a lot of podcasts. When Reptiles Unplugged was still live, Miguel did a podcast on there just talking about the importance in buying high quality animals, and you'll always regain the money that you spent if you buy high end animals. And it doesn't mean you have to buy $15,000 animals, but it's hard to recoup costs when you're buying a $200 female and a $150 male. It's really hard to recoup those costs.
Yeah.
But
100%.
You buy a couple $5,000 animals and you breed them together, and you're going to get all sorts of things, first of all, because chances are you're not just buying a single gene animal for $5,000. You're going to buy a couple codoms, visual recessive, maybe even it's a visual recessive and het for something. And it's a lot easier to recoup your costs that way. And it just makes more sense, breeding quality over quantity. That was a big thing. But so that podcast he did, try to think of some of the other ones. There was a lot of good ones. Billy did one a little over a year ago, and he just kept stressing in the podcast that if you're trying to do this as a business, you got to go all in. You got to risk it. You're not going to get there just nickel and diming your way into the hobby. Like, it's a good way to start, if you don't have a lot of money, but eventually you just got to do what you have to do to press forward. And that's when me and my wife decided to take a loan out on her 401k. So then we could just invest in some big animals that would set up our future properly.
Okay. And
So
so,
yeah.
what projects did you invest in with that initial huge investment, and how did you go about selecting those projects?
So I kind of knew a few things that I already wanted, and specifically a few of the people that I wanted to invest my money with. Um, but that's when I invested in my Stranger Clown male. He was a pastel coral glow Stranger Clown male, and when I got him, he was already 500 grams.
Oh,
He
so
was one of
it's
Justin's
ready to go.
holdbacks. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he was Justin's holdback, and he was like, I'm on the fence about selling him, but if you're really interested, I'll let him go. And I got him in, I think, August of last year, and by the time I started breeding him, he was already at 750, and he was just a machine.
Nice.
He bred 6 females and 5 of
Oh,
them went,
nice.
so
Nice.
can't complain.
Yeah.
But I picked up a bunch of good animals. I picked up high intensity Super OD Cypress Het Clown female from Ozzy.
From Ozzy? Okay. That sounds like
Yeah,
an Ozzy production.
yeah. Yeah, most of my OD stuff I like to get from the source because I know it's going to be the best quality OD that you can get.
Yeah, that OG OD.
Yeah, yeah. I picked up a pastel Enchi Hypo DG female from Fireball from Jeremy down there.
Okay.
She's doing good. She's going to start breeding this year. I got her going to a Redhead Mojave Hypo. So
nice.
trying to go into that, 100% visual hypos, 100% Desert Ghost stuff, and get Redhead in the mix, and just trying to work on some good projects that aren't readily available.
So I'm
kind of
hearing
where
Clown,
I'm taking
hearing
it.
Hypo, I'm hearing DG, and I know you got some Ultramil stuff working too.
Oh, I got lots of Ultramel stuff in the works.
Ultramil.
And that one animal, and you know which one I'm talking about. That animal I hit this year, man, that's a game changer.
That was crazy, man. That was mind-blowing.
It was crazy when we were at Tinley, and I brought my Ultramel Pied. Like, it's in and of itself, it's not a crazy animal. Like, there's lots of Ultramel Pieds out there in the market right now. But I brought it just because it was something that I was proud of. It's the first Ultramel Pied I've ever hit, and I'm just growing it up. And my goal for that was just to breed some sort of clown to there and work on Ultramel Clown Pieds on the down low, because I'm not a big Pied fan. I think Pied is pretty, but I'm a pattern guy. So literally that Ultramel Pied was the only visual Pied I had in my whole collection. So talking to everybody there about the Ultramel Pied, and people were commenting on it and whatever, I had no idea that literally sitting at home that weekend, I had a Ultramel Clown Pied slithering out of the egg. It's just
crazy,
absolutely
bro.
insane. Like, within 20 minutes of me being home, I went to go look at that clutch, and I'm just like, I think that's an Ultramel Clown Pied. Like,
talk about
looks Pied. It's Ultramel.
Yeah, like, welcome back. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
Oh man, that was
so what did
that
you
just
do
blew my mind.
What did you do when you saw it?
Well, my wife was in the room, and I'm just holding it in my hands, and I'm looking at it with my wife, and I'm just like, I mean, that's an Ultramel. That looks like a Pied, and that looks like a clown head. Like, I think we hit an Ultramel Clown Pied, but neither parents were Pied. Obviously, they were, but
yeah,
it was just. It just blew my mind.
Bro.
Absolutely blew my mind.
Walk, scream to the top of my lungs, bro. Out of
Oh man, that's nuts.
So much better. Like, it's already super dope to hit a triple recessive, but then to hit a triple recessive where you didn't even know you had a shot at a triple recessive. That's crazy.
It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
And honestly, what makes it even funnier too is this is the first year I hit double visuals. Like, I've never made a double visual animal until this year. And this year I made, I think, 5 or 6 double visuals. So I was nowhere near trying to aim for a triple. That was going to be probably another few years down the road. And so now it completely changes my thought process. And it's a male. So, like, you can't go any better than that.
Yeah.
Just nuts.
That's definitely. You must have been living good, bro. Like,
oh yeah,
things right. Like, odds guys was always.
They knew some of the odds that I've hit in the past years. So they said, "All right, let's give this one."
You know which way you want
I
to go
have
in
I have no clue.
that?
I have no clue. Like honestly, I've barely even started thinking about it because, like as I said, like pied isn't one of those genes that I really work with. So now I'm like, okay, well, I have this animal. What do I actually want to get pied into? Because my collection isn't set up for that. I don't have
Right.
even a single het pied animal. So,
Oh wow. Okay, so you
so
don't have
it'd
any
definitely
pies.
be making a brand new project. Sorry, go ahead.
Gotcha. No, no, because I remember you said you only got the one. Okay.
Yeah,
So okay. Yeah, that is an interesting conundrum, but
yeah,
still, I would have to work it just off general principle. Definitely
yeah.
for sure.
It's
I would definitely
crazy.
work that one.
Yeah, Chris is
Um,
my buddy there down in South Carolina.
oh, what's good, Chris? Thanks for coming out. So, what are some of your plans in the Ultra Male Clown project? Because I know you're trying to get deep into that one. So, talk about some of your goals for that project.
Yeah, Blackhead is a big one that I want to get in the Ultramel Clown project. Um, I've got a bunch of stuff in the works for that right now on a few different avenues. So hopefully we'll get some good clutches this year and we'll be able to raise some hets. And I think I've got one where I should get some visual clown, blackhead clown, het ultramels. So hopefully we can get some good stuff in there.
The dark stuff really looks nice with Ultra Male, I think.
Yeah,
And then you
for
add
sure.
clown, that's just like a cherry on top.
Yeah.
A few
Yep.
cherries.
Definitely. Yeah. Just a little heaping of cherries on the top.
Right. A whole bushel or whatever you call it. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
dope. So are you gonna
Definitely.
work? I know you got the Stranger project going on. Are you gonna work that into Ultra Male as well?
Yes. So unfortunately, the sixth female that he went to last year was a ultramel het hypo, and she was the one that didn't go. So
Gotcha.
that kind of put a kibosh on my Stranger ultramel stuff from last year.
Gotcha.
But I do have a couple handfuls of Stranger stuff growing up right now. So some of that is going to be worked into the ultramel project, especially after seeing the Stranger ultramel that Dean made out in Europe. Like it's just
It's sick.
insane,
It's
absolutely insane. I can't wait to see that in the clown version. That's going to be a gorgeous animal.
It is, and like so, Stranger Leopard is one of my favorite combos. Like I really like Stranger Leopards, and so like
Yeah.
a Stranger Leopard Ultra Male Clown, I think it would be
Woo.
crazy, bro. Like crazy.
Yeah.
Levance had Stranger double het Ultra Clown on the table at Tinley. It was like 16.5. I forget how big she was, but
Who'd you say had that?
Levance from Straight Fire.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was so you just gotta think about it, bro. Like if he's selling that, like what does he got back at the facility? What does he got back at the
Yeah.
crib? Yeah,
I can imagine because he
yeah,
always comes out with something absolutely insane.
yeah.
So he probably already has the Stranger double visual sitting back there,
Probably,
and he just hasn't shown anybody. It wouldn't
yeah.
surprise me.
I'll post that in February.
Yeah.
But
He's
yeah,
not a flexer at all. So he'll just, I mean, he is, but he flexes a different way. He
yeah,
doesn't show every little thing that he's got. He waits
exactly.
until he has something that just blows your mind. And then he's like, oh, yeah, by the way, I have that.
Yeah, you know that project you've been working on for the last 10 years? I had that.
I've had it for 5.
It's already giving me 2 clutches.
Levant's the crazy dude.
Yeah, he got some
Yeah,
dope stuff. But yeah, I
for
think
sure.
Stranger is gonna be really dope in the Ultimate Clown project.
Yeah,
I don't have Stranger in my collection right now. I want it in my collection, and at some point I will have it in my collection. But I'm definitely not stopping at like Stranger Clowns, right? Like I want to get into some doubles and potentially some triples at some point. So I
yeah,
feel like that's one of the best ways to kind of shield it from dropping in value is
right.
to dump it into those double recessive, triple recessive projects, and then obviously figure out like what codoms work the best with.
Yep.
What are some speaking of that? What are some of the codoms do you think work really well with Stranger?
Red Stripe works really good with Stranger. I don't have
Okay.
any of that, but I've seen it, and that works really good with it. Spot Nose seems to work really good. Redhead. Justin made that Redhead Stranger. I think it was just a Het Clown or something, but that looked really good. Somebody said in there, Blackhead Stranger GHI Ultra Clown. Yeah, that'd be stupid.
Yeah. It might be all right.
Throw some hypo in there, you're good. Yeah. Stranger is just so untapped. That's one thing that I learned this year for sure with some of my pairings that I did with Stranger. I definitely regret some of the pairings that I did and wish that I had paired it to some better females. Because I got a lot of pastel and super pastel Stranger stuff, a bunch of coral glow Stranger stuff, and they're pretty, but it doesn't fit into a lot of my collection because I don't want coral glow in my Ultramel stuff. I don't want super pastel in all of my Ultramel stuff. I want to be able to pick and choose.
Gotcha.
So that's also what kind of slowed me down a little bit in, or what's going to slow me down in my Stranger Ultramel game, because now I actually have a Stranger Het Clown male growing up, which is technically a step back from the dad, but he's going to be more powerful in my collection because he doesn't have pastel and coral glow. So I'll be able to utilize him better in some of my animals because I'm only passing the genes on that I want. So lesson learned there.
Do you have a strategy for that? Like, for example, you spoke about coral glow, so like I kind of have that same philosophy with banana. Like I actually really like banana, but I don't want to like proliferate it throughout the collection. And so for me, I'm not holding back a male banana or anything, regardless of if it's a female maker, male maker. I'm not holding back a male banana, most likely, unless it's got something that I just absolutely need. You know what I mean? And I really need to get that into some other stuff. Then I'll take my chance. But if I had my druthers, I wouldn't hold back like a male banana anything. But I do like some banana stuff, and so I kind of like want to make some cool combos. But I kind of want to keep banana more on the female side, just so I'm not like spreading that around. Same thing with pastel. Like I don't dislike pastel. I think it goes really well in some combos, but I really don't want to like just like pass it around, pastel here, pastel here. I don't want to be like making it rain with pastel. You feel me?
Yeah.
So do you think about it in kind of like those terms, or do you just completely stay away from
it? That's how I think about it now. I wish I'd thought about it that way last year. But this year I'm really focusing on my collection, making sure that I'm not just breeding a ton of coral glow stuff and I don't have pastel on both sides of a pairing. So then I can minimize the amount of pastel that I have, because even a lot of the holdbacks that I got last year have pastel in them. Some of them works well, some doesn't. So that's something that even in the next few years, I'm probably going to deal with again, trying to figure out what to pair to some of these female holdbacks I have, so I'm not creating a whole bunch of super pastels. So it's definitely something to think about early on when you're building your collection, and not getting to the point where you've bought hatchlings and raised them up and now you feel like you need to use them because you've invested all this time, and then you just start making a whole bunch of super pastel animals or a bunch of coral glow males. And definitely talk to people, get people's thoughts on things.
Exactly. I know for me, like I just looked up one day and I had like all kinds of pastel, and I was like, do I really want pastel like this widespread in my collection? Like I'm not a pastel hater. Like I see some dope animals with pastel, but again, I just kind of want to limit it. You feel me?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. For sure. If you can keep pastel on your female side as well, that's a good way of doing it, because then you can buy powerful males that don't have pastel, and then you can put them to multiple females, and you're not passing pastel with every single clutch that male has.
Yeah. That's definitely a good way to do it. And I'm the same way. Like I know that now. At first, I wasn't thinking like that, right? So I mean, you go through it though. You go through like the school of hard knocks in a way. Like you learn through experience. You learn through messing up. Like we was talking before the show. Sometimes you just got to mess up, right? And you get better. You learn from those mistakes, and you can you can give some wisdom to somebody else, and hopefully they don't make the same mistake. So
For sure.
piggybacking off that same note, speak to some other like mistakes that you kind of made early on that if you had it to do all over again, maybe you would have did it differently.
Oh man, where to start?
Sound like
me. One thing that I am dealing with even this year is not having enough males. Everyone always tells you, buy females, buy females, buy females. Well, next thing you know, you got 30 females and you've got 3 males, and you're trying to figure out what male you can use to put to as many females as you can without killing them. So, a lot of people say, buy your female, then a year later, go ahead and buy your male for that. But there's problems with that too, because what if in 2 years your female's up to size, but your male decides he's going to be a little bit of a picky eater and doesn't get up to size? Well, Now you're wasting that female for a year too. So I just say, listen, when you're going to get into a project, buy your male, buy your female at the same time. If you're buying a powerful enough male, who cares if he's sitting on the shelf for a year not being used? Like if he's a $10,000 female, who cares if you got to feed him rats for an extra year? That shouldn't even be a consideration. That's just a business expense.
Gotcha.
When you've got 3 or 4 females that are, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 females, you want to make sure that when they're breeding size and they're growing follicles, that you've got a male that's ready to go to them. You don't want to take that chance. That's my 2 cents.
Gotcha. Yeah, bro. Like I went through that really this year, right? So this is so technically the second year breeding. Last year we had 1 clutch, but this is like the second year breeding, technically speaking. And I went through that exact same problem, right? Or that exact problem. Not enough males. Like I had males that didn't get up to size. I had males that wouldn't lock. And so like I was kind of short on males. And so I ended up having to like run my pod male to more girls than I otherwise would have liked to. But just having backup males is huge. So when you have your backup males, do you have backup males that are kind of sort of in the same project, but maybe not? Maybe he's like a second string guy, right? So it's just like with a quarterback, right? So you got your starting quarterback, like your franchise quarterback, and then you got a guy who's more of a game manager. He's not gonna turn the ball over a lot as much. He's not gonna turn the ball over a whole bunch of times and lose the game for you, but he also might not win the game for you either, like your franchise quarterback. Right now, I feel like I got some franchise quarterbacks, but I don't know if I necessarily got a true second string kind of guy. Like I got some third string guys who I can put in, or you know what I'm saying, I can do some trades, right? So I got a guy who I wasn't gonna run through this project, but maybe I can focus on this guy like a little bit more and do a little bit more of that guy, if that makes sense. So do you have your backup males? Do you have kind of a guy that's like a little lesser in that same project, or do you just have a different male that can lock up?
I've got a little bit of both. So this year, I decided I wanted to invest in the Kraken project, Justin's Kraken project, but I wanted to add hypo to the project.
Okay.
So at the beginning of this year, I purchased a male GHI chocolate hypo het clown male. I think I said male already. And so I've got him growing up. And then I bought a whole bunch of females that fit into the project this year. But then I decided that I wanted to really invest and buy a good, powerful male. So I was able to find a GHI hypo clown that he's going to become the quarterback. And the first male will actually become, I don't speak football, but he's going to be second.
Second string.
He'll be after.
Second string, because yeah, I feel you. Because this year I had some franchise quarterbacks that was raw, but they still had some technical skills they needed to get down, like actually locking, actually eating, actually putting on weight. And then I didn't have no second string guys. I had some water boys. But they unlocked there.
Hey, you need that Gatorade. Yeah, I kind of took a kick this year a little bit. I bought a male black pastel spot nose red stripe clown 66% het ultramel from Justin back in March. And I'm like, man, as long as he's a good solid eater, like I'll be able to get him up to breeding size by December, no problem. He's a picky eater. So he's off the table for this season. You know, he's sitting at maybe 500 grams now. And, you know, he'll eat mice 1 week, then he'll take a couple weeks off, then maybe he'll take an ASF. And, you know, I'm just like, I'm not going to risk it. I'm just going to shelf him for the year. And, you know, hopefully next year, you know, he'll be up to size. And by then, too, I'll be able to get him tested and find out if he's had ultramel. So
Nice.
that'll allow me to figure out exactly what I want to do with him. Like if I want to risk putting him to some het ultramel females and take that risk, or, you know, if I only want him to go to visuals or whatnot, you know, but I'll have a lot more stuff grown up by next year as well. So I'll be able to produce some way better animals with him.
Gotcha.
So hopefully he proves.
Yeah, hopefully. Fingers crossed, bro. May the odds guys ever be in your favor. Did you see that stranger spot nose, yellow belly, 100% het clown, 50% het monsoon that Justin had? Is actually on Morph Market.
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
It's actually on Morph Market right now. It's in my favorites too, so nobody go out and buy it. You better stay at my favorites. I don't think I'm gonna buy it. I would love to buy it, but nobody go out and buy it. I want to keep it in my favorites. But yeah, that's crazy. Pretty dope. That's pretty dope too.
Yeah. Did you say that was a male or female?
It's a male.
Whew.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Stranger, spot nose, yellow belly, 100% het clown, 50% het monsoon. And I'm not into the monsoon project. So if like just say, theoretically speaking, if I were to purchase that guy, it wouldn't be to be in the monsoon project. It would be to
right.
Megan say just added it to the cart. It would be for the stranger. It would be for the codoms is in, and obviously the het clown, and to run that through some things too. Like,
yeah,
I've had like some mental like pairings with him. I was like, yeah, I could do this, and like I went and counted tubs. I was like, I could put him to like 6 or 7 females when he's ready. But it is a significant investment, but it's a dope investment too. So like I feel like you can get your money back. And kind of where I'm going with that is, it's been a lot of talk right now about the market outlook. You know what I'm saying? Like you're on Justin's Patreon, so you've seen the Patreon video. For y'all who not on Justin's Patreon, shame on you. You should be on Justin's Patreon so you can see some of this dope shit, and so you don't have to complain on Facebook about you can't see it because it's behind a paywall. Lots of people outside of Justin been having this exact same conversation, right? So we've had this conversation on the show a lot, and it's just like in this circle is a conversation that's had right now, and it's kind of like the market slowdown. So I'm somebody who came in the ball python industry like during COVID, right? And so like when I came in, everything was balls to the wall, no pun intended. But like stuff couldn't stay on the shelves, stuff couldn't stay on the table, stuff couldn't stay on Morph Market, IG, what have you, right? And so like right now, the government pumped all kind of money into the system, right? And so what does that do? Hyperinflation. Now we're in a recession, and we're going into probably a deeper recession. And so obviously the economic impact affects the ball python market just like it affects any other market. So we've seen sales start to slow down on some of the lower end stuff. So what's your strategy for the next few years, kind of as we go through these hard times, so to speak? Have you thought about your strategy? Do you have some specific things you want to do? Just tap into that a little bit, bro.
So I definitely took advice from Justin's video. And I really rethought about my pairings for this year. And I think I reduced, 15-ish pairings from this coming season, to just focus on the best animals that I can create, with some pairings in there that are still long shots. Because obviously I want to still push forward, and I have some clutches with some animals that I could hit some crazy things. So I'm willing to take that risk. and have those animals sitting on the shelf if need be. But yeah, like as I said, I took off probably about 15 pairings of just things
Okay.
that I didn't absolutely need to push my business forward.
Gotcha. So with those 15 pairings, so that's at least 15 females. So those females, what are you doing with those females? Are you letting them sit in the racks and just take the year off? Are you selling some of them, or are you taking a hybrid approach?
Hybrid approach, yeah. Some of them I'm gonna have just sit for the year because they're decent females. Just didn't have the right males to go to them this year, but I might next year as some males grow up. But it did kind of make me rethink. Okay, well, if I'm able to just give these females a year off because I don't consider the pairings to be very valuable, then do I need these females?
Exactly.
Period. So
Exactly.
I think, as Justin also said, I think this is also going to be a very good reflection point to really look at your business and say, what am I doing? What projects am I involved in? Do I want to be involved in all of them? Is there some animals I'm keeping and breeding just because they breed well? So what I like to do every now and then, I just get in this mood where I go in the morning and I get my cup of coffee and I grab a chair and I go in my snake room and I just set the chair down in the middle of my snake room and I just sit there and drink my coffee and just look around my room and every single tub. Just, what do I have? Why do I have that snake? What is its purpose? And if I can't come up with a real legit purpose of what it's for, then it's time to go. Like it'll benefit somebody else more than it's going to benefit me.
That makes sense.
So I think it's very important to do in your collection sometime before you get too big. Because once you get bigger, it's going to be even harder to get into that mindset of letting animals go. So start when you're small, when you've only got, 50 females or whatever, and really, really think about what you're pairing. Because I feel like most people nowadays, we're not trying to be mass producers.
Right.
I think for the most part, that era is done. Like there's still some people that have been breeding for 20 years that are still mass producing. But I think most of the people that are in the industry now, we're trying to be more of those boutique breeders. We're aiming for that. Exactly. We're aiming for that 30 to 40 clutches a year, but just high-end, powerful, clutches. Those $10,000, $15,000 clutches, so that it makes it worth it, and you're not just saturating the market with everything. There's enough pet breeders out there to produce those animals. And even when you're trying to produce high-end clutches, you're going to produce random yellow belly clowns, fire clowns, pastel clowns. Like you're just going to get that. Pass those along, wholesale those off. That goes to the pet market, and press forward with the good stuff.
So shout out to the homie Sexing and Flexing. I was on the podcast with him and Levi the other night. And so one of the questions that they asked me, so I'm gonna ask you. So yeah, I'm still in your question, bro. When Billy was on their podcast, he mentioned that like clowns and pies were starting to get on the pastel level. And so like my response was like, I didn't think it was like that level yet. And so like the examples I gave, I was like, how many clowns do you see in Petco? And because I've never seen a clown in Petco personally. And then I followed that up with like, how many pies have you seen in Petco? Because me personally, I've never seen a pie in like my local Petco or PetSmart or any kind of store like at that level, right? And so a lot of people in the chat said that they see pies at their Petco. So salute to their Petco. Shout out to their Petco. I don't see them in my Petco. But at the end of the day, I guess the point that I was trying to make is I don't think pies and clowns have kind of completely fallen down to the level of pastel. But obviously, like with so many like multi-codom stacked animals on top of your recessives and the double recessives and triple recessives, obviously like your pies and your clowns and like basic recessive combos like that are kind of like getting lower on the totem pole. What are your thoughts on those? Like, do you think those are more like pet quality snakes, or do you think they still have like a legitimate space in the breeding world, if that makes sense, just from a business perspective, right?
Yeah. It's kind of both. Depending on what you have, if you have a 4 codom female and you've got a visual pied or a visual clown male, that may not be a bad pairing, especially if you're just starting out. You know, if it's in your first year or two, you know, and you're coming in with a smaller amount of money, you can pick up a 4 gene female, you know, just straight up codom female. You can pick one up for $500 that are decent genes, not just, you know, pastel, pinstripe, spider. You know, like you can get some decent codoms in there for a very small amount of money. And you can pick up a male clown. You can pick up a proven breeder male clown for $300 on Morphmart. So right there, you can make some really powerful het clutches, raise those females up, breed the dad right back to them, and produce some really good clown stuff. So there's always a strategy of how you can spend little money and still get a decent return for future projects. But that being said, kind of going back to the original question, I think just since I've been in, I've watched visual clowns and pieds probably half in value. You know, when I got in, just visual clowns and pied females, you know, they were pushing 350, 400. You know, well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Males were pushing that. Now,
Females were a little bit more, right?
Yeah,
You got in?
females, and especially like last year, like female hatchling clowns were selling for $500-600, which is just nuts. I mean, it was good, but it was just very surprising, you know. But during COVID, all those prices just kind of they jumped. They just jumped all over the place. But I think now we're kind of coming into the era where clowns and pieds, they're just becoming more and more common, because as people are trying to hit the higher end animals, they're getting a lot of those lower end animals just because, you know, they missed the odds or whatever. And so I think they definitely could go into the pet market and not so much as breeders. But again, it just depends on who's buying. You know, somebody that's just getting into the industry, it might make sense for you just to buy a single gene visual pied male or female, depending on what project you're working with and what you already have.
Gotcha. True. And shout out to the homie Chris and Levi for that question. That was a great question. And y'all make sure y'all go check out Flexing and Finessing. They got a dope podcast, so y'all make sure y'all go check that out too. And so you were talking about prices and whatnot. So do you feel like prices right now are kind of where they need to be, or do you think we got a market correction coming?
I mean, I think prices are already dropping. I've seen some stuff on Morph Market that a couple years ago was double the price. I mean, even some of the stranger stuff. I mean, stranger het clowns last year when I got my mail, stranger het clowns were going for $7,000-8,000. Now, stranger het clowns, they're going for 4 or 5, depending on what's with them. Even visual stranger clowns now are going for 7,000-8,000. So there's definitely been a drop in the market, and I think it's good, sort of. You know, I think there needs to be a correction because COVID prices skyrocketed, and a lot of people got into the industry. People were just spending money. The government was pumping money in. You know, everyone was getting their stimulus checks. And so people were just spending a ton of money, so prices skyrocketed. Well, now prices are going back down. Yeah. Yep.
That's kind of
so
a
now
weird
prices
dynamic.
are just going back to normal.
and the reason I say that's kind of a weird dynamic, if you think about it, like you said, when COVID hit and the prices skyrocketed because like everybody was like getting like free money basically. Well, technically we see like hindsight's 2020. It's not free money because you pay
nothing's
for that
free.
now. Yeah,
especially when the government's involved, nothing is free. You're going to pay twice what they gave you.
Exactly. Like we're getting it out your ass in a couple of years.
Yeah.
But if you think about like the inflation effect of like kind of like the COVID prices and how they skyrocketed, and then you compare that like with stuff now, like prices now of every other thing related to everything you're doing, regardless if it's ball python related or not, all those prices are going up. Like we're kind of like in a weird, I mean, not even a counter. It's like a hyper inflationary period, right? And so like
Yeah.
even there's even still some downward pressure on the price in a hyperinflationary period. So that's interesting. And that I feel like that speaks a lot about kind of how much prices kind of skyrocketed like during that COVID period because it even outpaced the current inflation period we're living in. That's what I'm getting at. In a little way, if you look at it that way. So that's an interesting dynamic. Real, very interesting dynamic. So what? So somebody getting into the game like right now, right? So Johnny Q, snake breeder, wants to start breeding ball pythons right now in this market. What's some advice you got for him? Hopping into the game right now.
Get a mentor, especially right now where the market is. You need somebody that you can ask questions to that won't make fun of you. So stay away from the Facebook comments and all of that.
Stay away from the Facebook experts.
Yeah. I mean, don't be afraid to go to a local reptile show and see a vendor that looks like they know what they're doing and ask. Maybe not there, but just you don't want to ask them 1,000,001 questions as they're trying to work their booth, but just say, 100%. Hey, like, can I get your number? Can I reach out to you and talk to you? It always will help if you buy something from them, but that shouldn't always be the case.
Right.
But yeah, having a mentor is something that is very important in this industry. Joining Patreons, another great way. We're both in Will Morose's Patreon, probably one of the best, if not the best Patreon out there.
Oh yeah.
Great group of guys. For sure. We're just such a great group of guys. Most of us are all like-minded. We're all trying to achieve the best things that we can. No one, well, we're always making fun of each other, but no one in there belittles anyone or treats anybody like they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, nobody's coming from a bad place with it.
No. And with Will only having the one tier on there, there's no separation between the highest end breeders and the newbie just starting off. And that's, I think, one of the biggest things that I love about the group is a brand new person can come in and ask a question and they're not going to get made fun of and be like, oh, that's a dumb question. There's 20 people that'll jump right on there and say, oh, well, this is what I would do in this situation, or here's some experience that I have in this situation. It's just a great group of guys. And we didn't have that 5 years ago. No, when I got in, there was no Patreons. No one was doing this, to try to really help somebody grow their business. That was still competition mode back then.
Right.
It really wasn't until Miguel got in this and really just started, he did his YouTube videos just really showing the process of him growing his business and talking about the money, talking about the business side of things, and teaching people how to actually grow your business properly. And then that kind of set everybody off into this, oh, well, now I want to help people mode. And I think we needed it as an industry for sure. So especially hearing some of the stories from old times.
So I wasn't around like back then, right? So that was before my time, like when Miguel first got into it. But I know Miguel ain't been in it like he ain't been in it 20 years like some people, like
no.
Ozzy or something like that. So I know he kind of like he's been in it longer than me, but not like Ozzy level, right? And so
right.
I imagine so Miguel was kind of like the catalyst for a lot of that change. I imagine like being the catalyst, and I've heard this before too, right? Like Miguel got a lot of hate initially from some of the old heads, for lack of a better term. What do you think about that, and kind of like what drove that? And have you seen like any change in mentality from some of those old heads?
So like, why do I think they made fun of him, or?
Mm-hmm. Like, why do you think Miguel got a lot of hate, and have you seen like some of those same people who was hating initially? And it's to your knowledge, obviously, right? And from your unique perspective, but do you think some of those people have kind of changed their tone and really kind of got on the train?
Yeah, I think some have. I think it was kind of two-sided. I think they were scared because this guy came in, had a lot of money, and was not afraid to show what he was doing. And he immediately came in, befriended Justin, invested a lot with Justin, because Miguel's smart. He's a business guy. So he knew that if he wanted to exceed, he needed to rub shoulders with the people on the top. And you're not going to get any more top than Justin. So I think that was a little intimidating for some of the other breeders out there who've been doing this for 15, 20 years that were stagnant. Here's this new guy off the block coming in, dropping coin, and really trying to make this a business and teach others how to do it. That's going to give them more competition. So if you have that old school mentality of, well, I want to be the only dog in the yard, then I can see how that would be a little terrifying. And then I think people hated on him just because of his money. He came in with money. Well, right. He's a business guy. He came in with money that he worked for and just carried it on to this. That's how businesses work. But a lot of people hated on him for that. So yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. He's doing pretty well for himself.
For sure. Miguel's a great guy.
Yeah. So about how many animals are you working with right now?
I've got about 50 breeder females right now. And then about 40, 45 holdbacks just from this season. So the next couple of years, we'll have definitely rotated some stock out.
So is there a max number of breeder females that you want to have, like roundabouts?
At least where I'm living now, 80 is the max that I can have.
Okay.
I mean, I probably could have a few more if I have them in some of the smaller tubs, but at least in my bigger tubs, I can have 80 females. I've got 2 racks. And I probably won't get that big while I live here.
Gotcha.
Because that's going to be a lot of babies too. I don't really have space for that many hatchlings.
So market conditions excluded. I'm more so talking about like from a level of work perspective, right? And how much output you want to have if in like prime market conditions. What do you think your max amount of clutches you want to shoot for? Like, is it 80 or is it somewhere like lower than that? Like maybe 60 or so is your sweet spot. What do you think about that?
I probably want to be in the 75 to 100 range.
Okay.
Like guaranteed clutches. But that'll be years from now.
Gotcha.
Like, as opposed to a lot of people, I kind of want employees.
Gotcha.
So I feel that if we're able to make as much money as you can with ball pythons, I think it would be good to be able to give a few other people opportunity to give them pay, to give a job, and then at the same time, it'd be really good for me and my wife to be able to go on vacation and know that I've got somebody that can watch the animals, that is there every day and knows the rooms, knows my snake room just like I do, and I don't have to worry when I go on vacation.
Gotcha.
It's just simple things like that.
Fast forward, it's 2027, so it's 5 years from now. HP Reptiles just took off. The market is strong. You need an employee. All right, and so you interviewing the applicant, right? So what some type of questions are you asking them? Like, what kind of employee are you looking for?
Somebody trustworthy. That's the big one. I mean, you can't ask somebody that because, of course, they're going to say, "Well, yeah."
Oh yeah, I'm great. Yeah. Yeah. I won't pocket your triple recessives. You gotta change that water out. They just put that substrate in
there. Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know. Like, that's kind of one of those things that I've thought about. Like, when I'm actually at that stage where I'm ready to hire someone, that I would reach out to Justin or Ozzy and be like, all right, I'm getting ready to hire someone. What is your thought process, when you hire someone? Because obviously Justin's hired, a handful of people, so I'm sure he's got a really good, I mean, it's Justin. So of course he's got a really good interview process. Like, he has, it's probably a PowerPoint and, it's integrated into Clutch somehow. And, But yeah, I really don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? Because like you like how you're gonna interact with your animals, how you're gonna take care of your collection. But it's hard like letting go and letting somebody else do that, right? Like I trust two people in my snake room right now, like to just know it's done right. That's myself and my wife, Takara. Nobody else, right? So
Yeah.
my son come in my snake room, in our snake room, like all the time, right? But I wouldn't trust him to like just like fully take care of everything the way I want it done, right? Like
Right.
two people right now, and so it would be kind of hard letting that go. And I realized like if you want to get to like a certain level or whatnot, you have to let that go. But it will be hard, right? And I don't know like what I would ask him. Like I don't know if I want somebody new off the streets who maybe they just take care of reptiles and they're good with reptiles. They understand reptiles. Or I don't know if I want someone who like understands like the breeding industry. I don't know. I don't know. And so like I
Yeah.
mean, obviously I'm a long way from that, right? And so I don't have to make those decisions anytime soon. But that's a good point. Asking somebody who's been through it, like a Justin or even an Ozzy or somebody like that. I know Will has somebody who helps him like on a full-time basis for the most
Yep.
part.
Yeah.
And so
Adam.
asking those people who've been through that, yeah, Adam, that's right. And so yeah, but yeah, it's hard. It would be hard for me to let go, right? Because like I have trouble sometimes letting go of tasks at my job that I'm not the owner of, right? Like I don't own my job, but and so like being like the owner of it, I know it'd be even harder, right? Just to let it go, right? Because you're
Right.
used to the way you do it, right? And so and then sometimes it's like they might do something a little bit different than you do it, or not the exact way you would do it. And you got to wonder, like, does the little nuance add value, or is it just a preference, right? And so, like, things that
Right.
are just a preference, but there's really like no value proposition up or down for it. At the end of the day, it don't matter. But you like it because you're emotionally attached to it because it's the way you do it. And so, does that matter? And so, like those little kind of things like that, it'll be hard to get through for me at first, but just like everything, it's a learning process. You get better as you go. You got to be a disaster before you're a master. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that'll be dope. So it'll be interesting to see what actual questions you do ask when you're ready. By the time I'm there, you will have been doing it for a few years. So I definitely ask you, like, yo, what's up?
Sounds good.
What were some
I
pros?
can.
What were some cons? What did you learn,
Yeah.
bro?
I can tell you all my mistakes.
So being
Cameras.
that
Cameras everywhere.
bro, I just came home one day and like 5 snakes was missing. And they said they didn't know what happened to them, so I had to put in some cameras.
Yep. Put
100%.
those up
Yeah.
at the start. Don't be afraid to say, listen, I got cameras all around this place, so I'm watching you all the time.
Big brother is watching, bro.
That's right. I'm a nice guy, but these are my animals.
It's like Sosa. Come fuck me, Tony. So
Oh man.
right now it's just you and your wife doing the snakes primarily.
Yep.
So what's that
Yep.
routine look like?
So pretty much I do all the snakes, and my wife and my mother-in-law take care of all of the rats. So
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm
Your
very
mother-in-law. She's
blessed.
like, bro, how
Yep.
did you pull that off? Like how did you make that ask, or did she volunteer to do it?
No, she volunteered. She
Oh
just wanted to
wow,
help. My
wow,
mother-in-law is a very awesome woman, for sure.
wow. Yeah, shout out to your mother-in-law.
Definitely.
What's your mother-in-law's name?
Alicia.
Alicia.
Alicia. Or
Alicia. Okay.
Lisa.
Shout out to Lisa. Yeah, that's dope, bro. That's dope.
Yep.
That is dope, bro. All right, and so
Yeah.
you
So
want to talk about your routine before I cut you off?
yeah. So pretty much on Wednesday nights, my mother-in-law comes over, and her and the wife, they go in and they clean the rats. And when they do that, I get all of the rats out of the grow out bins, and then I feed the snakes at the same time. So it
Oh,
makes it
nice.
easier for them because I'm
Yeah.
cleaning out a bunch of racks. So it makes it easier for them to, clean a bunch of empty tubs and to circulate things, move new rats into the grow out tubs. And then obviously whatever I return, they just put in the appropriate places. So it's a good teamwork that takes place on Wednesday nights. And then I do the bulk of my cleaning on Fridays. So I
Okay.
come through and do like my big clean, and then I just kind of spot check throughout the week.
Okay. 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 Yeah. So have you been breeding rats like the entire time, or did you kind of get into it as you got more snakes?
Almost the whole time. When I first started, I did frozen rats, and that just wasn't fun.
I
I didn't
tried it.
enjoy that at all.
I tried it twice. It just wasn't the move for me, bro. Like it's just, I'm good.
Yeah, it was just gross. I don't know. Like I originally started like I would have a bucket of like really warm water, and then I would just like put all these frozen rats in there, and then everything just smelled like wet rat. And I'm like, nah, enough of this. So we started breeding our own rats. I think right after our first season,
Okay.
and I did the dumb thing where I started breeding my rats in my snake room and couldn't figure out why my snakes were always cranky, and honestly sometimes they were picky eaters, and I think it's just because they were constantly smelling the rats in my room. So that's when we put them in a different room in the house, and yeah, now we have a whole rat room, and we're able to provide enough rats for us, and occasionally we're able to sell some too. So that kind of recoups some of our food costs. So
Okay.
it's a
And
pretty
so,
good system.
are you strictly on like Norwegian rats, or do you breed some other kind of rodents as well?
So we do the regular Norwegian rats, African soffers, and mice.
Okay. What's
So a
your
little bit of
favorite one
mix.
to work with?
Um, I mean, the regular rats are probably the easiest,
Okay.
um, but the African soffers, they definitely take up less room, and they have a lot of babies. Um, but it's just good always having that mix. So whenever I get a female that goes off food, I can just, okay, well, I'm going to give you an ASF this week and see if you eat that. And then usually a couple weeks on an African soffer, and then I can throw a regular rat back in there, and they, we usually take it,
Okay. And so you
which is
got
pretty
like
good.
you got like racks that you breed them in, I imagine.
Yep, yep. All of the racks that we have are handmade. Um,
Okay.
I just didn't want to invest the money, with an ARS or a freedom breeder for the rats yet.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
that and also the tubs are a little bit longer, and it's a pretty
Okay.
small room, so that would also we would have less animals in the room if I had professional racks. But in the future, we'll definitely switch to some really good racking and water lines
Roundabouts.
that they can't chew out.
That was actually one of my questions. But real quick, roundabouts. I'm not asking you to pull out a tape measure, but about how big are the tubs?
I think they're about 20 inches long, give or take.
Okay. 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 And you use uniformly sized tub for your rats, your ASFs, and your mice.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
So
So the
like
mice are actually in. I think it's the FB10s.
okay.
I think maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not very good with the rack sizes, the
Yeah,
tub
yeah, yeah.
sizes.
I don't know nothing about freedom breeder size tubs. Like
Yeah, they're
it might as
basically
well
the
be Greek.
size of these tubs. They're just a little
Okay.
bit deeper. So I think
Okay.
these are actually FB10s.
Gotcha.
So it's
Gotcha.
whatever. Maybe it's the FB5 for the rodent tubs. I don't know, something like that. They're just a little bit
So
deeper than these ones.
gotcha. And I'm actually going somewhere with like all this questioning about like dimensions and stuff like that. So like we breed ASFs, right? So at first it started out as kind of like we did a little bit on the side for a few snakes, you know what I'm saying, that were problem eaters, and only 8 ASFs, and then like the extras we would feed to like our really good eaters who we could switch back and forth, right? But
Hmm.
we was talking earlier about inflation and stuff like that, and just how everything's going up. Like, so the cost of food is going up, the cost of bedding is going up. Well, technically speaking, the cost of bedding hadn't went up since we got into it, but it's only a matter of time before even that goes up, right? And
Yeah.
so like our local guys, because I go to like one guy who's kind of like a hub for like a lot of local breeders and folks who need like a lot of rodents, like at once, right? And so like I go pick up every Tuesday, whatever, and he sources his rodents from a number of other breeders, right? But he recently had to go up on his stuff just because his prices were going up. And so like I understand that like from a business perspective, like you got to cover your costs and you got to make like a certain margin for this to be like a profitable business for you and for you to be able to carry on operations and the operations to be worth it. So I totally get that, right? But we faced with the same dilemma, right? And so we got to think about it from that same perspective, right? And so like what we've done recently is kind of like upped our production, or we've upped our anticipated production. And so we like started creating more colonies and stuff like that. And so I was just kind of like wondering, because I'm trying to do the math in my head. And so what I was gonna ask is like for your ASFs, because we're strictly focusing on ASFs just because of the fact that for us, the ASFs produce like a good number of babies. The smell with ASFs is a lot less.
Yeah.
So our ASFs are like they're like cuddle bunnies, like, right? And so like, like I've heard horror stories about like ASFs is just demons and stuff like that, but not ours.
Yeah.
Ours like super, super duper tame. So it's like being a pleasant experience, in my opinion. And I'm trying to do like the math, right? And so like I feel like I need to have like an average number of babies per female in a colony, right? And so like, what is your average number of babies per female in a colony, like for a month for like your ASFs? And then the follow-up question to that is like, what size colonies are you running?
So average for our ASFs is probably like 16 to 18. And I'm not exactly sure on the colony size. Honestly, I don't know a lot about the rats.
Gotcha.
My wife, you'd have to have my wife on a podcast, and she can talk to you all about rats.
I have to get your wife and your mother-in-law on here.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how many ASFs we keep in a colony. I know we used to do, I think, 2.6 or something. We had 2 males in there just in case a male died. Then that second male would still be in there, because if not, then the females they're basically done, or you have to raise up a baby male in there. You know, the ASFs are a little bit wonky with that, where they have like an established colony, and if they're not happy, then they'll just all kill each other.
Right.
You know, they'll gang up and they'll kill. Like if you just throw a random male in there, they'll just kill it.
Oh yeah, he's gone.
Because
he's gone.
Yeah, you know, he's not part of the family.
He ain't part of the
clique. Yeah. He was not chosen.
Yeah, like what I've heard is like if you do have that happen, like your male dies and there's like some babies in that colony, and you still want to keep those females, maybe they're not that mature or whatever, and so you don't really want to get rid of those females, then use a male like one of their sons essentially, and like let him stay in there, or let 2 of their sons stay in there, or whatever, however many males you need. So that's what I've heard. I haven't had to go through that yet, but I have had like 2 males. I think we ran like a 2.6, but we were using those lab tubs from like Reptile Basics, and the males kept like going at it, bro. And I don't know if it's just because it was too many in that tub, but the males just kept going at it. Like we had to take one of them out because like I don't even know how he was still living, because they got in a bad fight, bro. Like a bad fight. Like it was sick. And so like if your kids listen to this, cover their ears. Like I'm sorry if you got a weak stomach, but it was nasty, bro. Like guts on the side, nasty. So like we had to take him out, and we ended up feeding him off just because like he couldn't have a quality of life like that. Like, I wouldn't have a quality of life like that. Like they got into it pretty bad, bro.
Yeah.
Like it was just
when you're at that point too, you figure, you know, you have them because they're feeders. So we do the same thing. You know, you get an animal that's starting to get beat up or whatever. Okay, you know, he's just going to get beat up elsewhere because he already smells like blood. He's obviously a weaker animal. So more than likely he's just going to get picked on it, you know, in a different tub. So might as well just be food. That was the intended purpose anyway. So, yeah.
Exactly. Right. And then quality of life and all that kind of stuff. And so like we just ended up feeding him off. But I haven't tried to run 2 males in one like tub since then, just because of that one bad experience. Maybe we should try it again, because it might have just been like an anomaly. Because I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of like anecdotal evidence. We just had it happen one time, and so we're like, no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So that's not really like a scientific method. But I might try it again though. And like right now we're running like 1.4s, and I got one that's like a 1.5 because I want to see and add a little bit more of a scientific method to the madness, uh, so to speak. But yeah, just playing with it and trying to figure out because in my projections I'm doing like 12 babies per male. I mean not per male but per female per month. But I feel like we probably getting a little bit more than that. Like I'm not doing a great job of like record keeping and whatnot and saying, hey, I got 19 babies on average from these females per month. I haven't been doing that great of a job at record keeping because it can quickly get out of hand, like tracking
Yeah.
all of that. But I'd rather be safe than sorry. Like I was always raised to it's better to have and not need than need and not have because I can always like
Yep.
feed off some extra. I can always sell some extra, but I kind of want to take like a more conservative approach and sandbag it because inevitably, I mean, we're talking about living creatures. We're talking about like all kinds of factors. So something could go wrong. So if something goes wrong, I don't want to be like operating on like such a small margin that something goes
Right.
wrong and it like materially affects me. You feel what I'm saying? Like I want it to be
Yep.
like something goes wrong. Okay, cool. That's fucked up, but I can absorb that and the show can continue. You feel me?
Definitely.
So that's where we're at with it right now. But I definitely want to be more self-sufficient on the ASFs. But I'm a little concerned about like establishing like hatchlings that I'm not holding back on ASFs and then giving them to other people. Um, because like I still kind of believe that myth, and it might be a myth, right? Because I got some animals that go back and forth on it, but I haven't done a whole lot of testing with just like establishing hatchlings on ASFs and then trying to feed them other things. So I don't want to. What I don't want to do is like sell a hatchling to somebody else. It's been eating ASFs his whole life. This person don't have access to ASFs, and then they're trying to feed mice, they're trying to feed rats, and now the snake won't eat, and now they think Mike sold them a bum ass snake because that's not it. It's just first ASFs. You need to come buy ASFs for me. Come get them for me. I got you.
Yeah. Yep.
No, I wouldn't do that, but I don't want them to like struggle with the animal, right? And so like it could be a myth. So have you had any experience with that? Like any animals or any hatchlings that you started off on ASFs and they wouldn't switch over to something else readily?
I actually have a couple right now that are eating ASFs that I have not gotten to take regular rats yet. They've probably each eaten maybe 5 or 6 ASFs. And typically what I'll do is, like on feeding night, for any of the hatchlings, I will throw a regular rat in there, and then I'll just leave it overnight, and then hope that they eat it by morning. If not, then I take it out and I throw an ASF in, and then they, take it instantly.
Gotcha.
But I always want to make sure I give them the opportunity to eat a regular rat because obviously that is the goal. I want them to eat regular rats.
Gotcha. And that
But
would
yeah,
be my luck with it, bro. Like I would have hatchlings that just I only do ASFs, bro. Like why is this guy offering me a rat? I don't eat rats.
yep.
You know I eat ASFs. I came from a home where they serve ASFs. Is that all you got on the menu? Like that would be my luck, right? And it's going to be calling me like I put my hatchling in this 40-gallon and it will not eat this mouse. I put my hatchling in this 40-gallon with no hide, no anything, and it won't eat this mouse. You sold me a bomb snake.
Yep, I've definitely had my fair share of messages like that.
And like that's just
Yeah.
something I don't want to deal with. Because I don't want the snake to be struggling, but then part of it is just like having to deal with something that can be avoidable. So like I just want to come up with like at least a happy medium, right? And so I don't know
Yeah.
if I'll always be 100% self-sufficient because I don't want to breed Norwegians and I don't want to breed mice, especially. And so I'll just have to come up with a happy medium.
Yeah, definitely.
So have you done any genetic testing?
Not yet. I'm waiting for 2 more snakes to shed, and then I'll be sending my first batch off. Basically because now knowing that my pastel ultramel male is triple het, caramel clown pied, now I had to look back in all 3 of the clutches that he produced this year, and now every female holdback I have is 50% het pied. So now I had to wait. I was just getting ready to send in all of my sheds, before I realized that. So then I had to wait for all of those females to go into sheds so I can collect their sheds. So then I can send them all in and figure out who's het pied, or, hopefully some of them are het pied. So yeah, I'm about to. I think I got like 10 or 11 sheds or something that I'm going to be sending in.
Okay, dope.
Soon.
Do you feel like that's going to change your strategy in terms of like pairings that you're willing to do? So do you feel like you would do like quote unquote riskier pairings, or pairings with longer shot odds, now that genetic testing is available and you can test and see if you hit or not?
Yeah. Some of my pairings this year are definitely set up that way. I think probably 3 or 4 pairings I have specifically set up where I know that I'm going to have to get the whole clutch tested just to figure out what's het. I don't want a lot of clutches that way, just because, A, I'm cheap. I don't want to spend that kind of money, to do a whole panel test or whatever I need to do, to figure out the genetics on every single baby. That's $1,000 per clutch, $900,000 per clutch. And I'd rather just be able to guarantee everything is het, just breed accordingly. You're muted and very staticky. I don't hear you. All right, the static just went away. Can't hear you. Excuse us while we experience some technical difficulties. I still don't hear you, man. Uh-oh, I think it's just me now. Well, who wants to see the ultramel clown pie? Oh, not that one. Here's the star of the year. Oh, you're gonna bite me, aren't you? Such a cool animal. It's so nice when you get really powerful animals like that and they just are good eaters.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you.
Woo, I'm back. Guess who's back? Back again. Mike is back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back?
Yeah, thought I was going to have to finish the show, man. I don't know. I was going to do those hot seat questions with myself.
I was going to see the transcript. I can't even say it.
You're reading out here. Okay, Mike said to do.
So as I was leaving, you was going to pull out the ultramel clown pot?
Yeah, that already happened.
Oh, you already pulled it out? Yeah, I'm going to definitely have to go back and watch the replay.
I had to think of something to do.
I appreciate it, bro.
No one wanted to see me do the white man dance.
Way to think on your feet, bro. Like I to pull out the triple recessive. With a doubt, pull out the triple recessive. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, way to think on your feet, bro. I forgot.
Man behind the curtain. Like, okay, look at this. We know what we're doing. We got this. Oh man.
I forgot like what I was even asking or where I was going with what I was asking. We were talking about genetic testing. We were talking about
Yeah.
testing. Oh yeah, I think what I was asking. So you're not gonna worry about testing animals you might not potentially hold back, right? You're not gonna be testing animals that you know for a fact, regardless of how the test comes back, you're gonna sell it.
Right. Like, for instance, like if I get some really good females, I'll probably send those sheds off if I'm considering holding them back. Same thing. If I get a really powerful male and I'm like, okay, well, if this one is het clown, then I'll definitely keep it because I know it's double het for this or, het for this. But yeah, like stuff that I'm selling, I'm not gonna test. Um, I think that's something that we are going to, as a bridge we're going to probably be crossing in the next year or two, and I think it's going to kind of be a gimme. Like you have a clutch that you're not 100% sure on the genetics, it just has to be tested. I kind of foresee that coming, and I get it, but I'm the type that I don't like feeling like I have to do something.
True.
Um, but I have a feeling that's where we're gonna end up coming to. You're not going to be able to post any pos hets on Morph Market. Like if you're going to post an animal, it needs to be ran through the Morph Market system, and
Right.
if it is pos het, it has to be genetically tested, and it's either that or you don't post it on Morph Market. I hope that's not the case, but just the way that the building blocks are being set, I could definitely see that happening, and I get it. Um, it'll definitely reduce the risk of people trying to scam others.
True.
But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like in a lot of ways it can be beneficial for the industry. Like I'm like you, like I hate having to do something, but at the end of the day, I feel like that's the way that we're trending. And so in a lot of ways it is beneficial, right? And so if we can get like a good like infrastructure in place to where there's like some solid internal controls and it can reduce the risk, like you say, and kind of like maybe not 100% eliminate, but at least mitigate the risk and cut it down like um materially of people trying to scam and stuff like that. I feel like that's a net positive for the industry, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
And plus it eliminates like the need to have to wait 2 or 3 years to prove something out or however long it takes to prove out whatever animal you're waiting on proving out. And so it eliminates that too. And so you don't have that uncertainty. And so that's a benefit. I
Yeah.
mean it's not all good. I mean nothing's all good, but nothing's also all bad either. So
Right. Yep.
I feel like
It's very true.
cool. All right, bro. And so I actually got some random questions for you, but before we get into the random question, there was one more question I wanted to ask you, specifically snake related. So you've been in the game like 5 years, 5.5 years now, and do you ever see yourself like starting a Patreon and starting to get kind of like a following on Patreon or anything like that? Or do you see yourself expanding on any of the social media platforms? And if so, what does that look like for HP Reptiles, at least based on how you're currently thinking about it?
As far as Patreon goes, I've thought about it, but I don't think I'm far enough along in this industry that I think people should really be taking my advice. I don't know if my advice is that valuable to be giving out to other people, and especially collecting money, hard-earned money for that. Um, Maybe in the future. Um, I've thought about starting a YouTube channel. Uh, it's still a thought process. Right now, I just want to get good at trying to post on Instagram every day. I can't even do that. So
Yeah, you post some videos about that ultra male clown pie, bro. You will get several thousand views on that one quick.
yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, yeah. So I would encourage you to do it. Um, for me, YouTube has been helpful a lot because before we just focused on IG and it was really just kind of like the hand picture or just a picture of the snakes and stuff like that. So really like getting out there, being on YouTube And this show's been like really like a godsend in a lot of ways, just because like I've been able to connect with people I might not have otherwise been able to connect with, at least not at that level and for that amount of time, and just like really get to chat with them and get to know that much more about them. Like we got a chance to talk at Tinley and we talked for a while, but there was still like that pressure, not by anything you did, but just like me mentally respecting the fact that you out here on your grind at Tinley, like working. I didn't want to like take up your booth too long because like I know you got to focus on customers and stuff like that. So I didn't want to take up too much of your time at Tinley because like at the end of the day, you at Tinley, you're on a mission, right? You're trying to sell snakes.
Right.
You got to interact. You got to interact with a whole bunch of people, right? And so it would have been like disrespectful, in my opinion, of me to try to like take up all your time. Like imagine if I would have came to your booth. We've been on here an hour, 30 minutes, and 54 seconds right now. Imagine me standing at your booth that long, like trying to talk to you. Like it would have been crazy. You'd be like, "Bro, get the hell on." And so this is opportunity to connect outside of like environments like that. And so like it's just been
Yeah.
beneficial to connect, and just more people see you, people see your face and stuff like that. So YouTube is cool, right? Um, IG is cool, YouTube is cool. I'm not huge on Facebook. Like I do a little bit on Facebook. I post, but to be honest, bro, like I don't even know if like from an ROI perspective, posting on Facebook is even worth it.
Right.
In a lot of cases, because you deal with like a lot of drama and stuff on Facebook. And it's some places just like super quiet. Like there's a few Facebook groups, I'm not gonna call them out, that I do frequent, like on a regular basis, for like reptile related stuff or ball python related stuff specifically. But outside of that, I don't do a ton on Facebook, you know what I'm saying, ball python related or reptile related in general. But YouTube
Yeah.
and IG, I feel like it's where it's at right now. But yeah, definitely looking forward to see if you do like a Patreon or something, that'll be super dope. So speaking of the random questions, so the first one is, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would that be and why?
Hawaii.
Hawaii?
And
Okay.
because it's beautiful.
So I gotta ask you this. What are you gonna do about the snakes? Because you can't have them in Hawaii.
That'll be past that. 30 years from now.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
If I can retire and move to Hawaii, oh, I'd do it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah.
Get some
Hawaii.
Airbnbs out there or something, and yeah, go that route.
Yeah, that'll be a dope spot. Like I've never been there personally, but I've seen like pictures and I hear stories and stuff. So that'll be dope. That'd be super dope.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, I haven't even been. I mean, obviously, Hawaii is not outside of the country, but I haven't been outside of the country. I haven't been off like this landmass. All right. So if you could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, who would that be and why?
Oof, man. Steve Irwin.
Word.
I'd love to just pick his mind and talk to him about conservation. Just to have a nice formal dinner with him. Well, I don't know if you can have a formal dinner with Steve Irwin, but at least a dinner. Man, three people. Man, I want to have a dinner with Justin Kabilka.
Oh, dope.
just a one-on-one, just go sit at a diner and just have a conversation, just one-on-one time.
So you feel like all your questions will be ball python related, or do you feel like you got some other questions you want to ask?
Probably pretty much ball python related, market questions and just, where he really sees things going in the future.
Okay. That's
kind of that future planning.
You'll definitely learn a lot
person
in that conversation.
Yeah, definitely. A third person, man, that's a tough question. I want to sit down with Donald Trump.
Okay. So what you gonna ask? What you gonna ask?
I want to ask what's in the swamp. He talks about cleaning that swamp. I want to know what's in the swamp.
What's in the swamp, bro? Why you gotta drain it?
Man, I want to know some of these secrets, you know? What's really going on?
The inside scoop.
Sorry if this whole live stream gets taken off YouTube now because I mentioned his name.
We can delete that footage.
We'll have to hope Elon buys YouTube, and then it'll be all right. Oh man.
I'm a firm believer that you can learn a lot from everybody, right? You can learn something from anybody, no matter like what walk of life, no matter where that person is in their life. You can learn stuff from people.
Yep.
Either you can learn it from what they do, you can learn it from what they don't do. It's ways to pull learning lessons and life lessons from everybody, from everything. It's just all about perspective, right? And taking the best part and keeping it for yourself. All right, so you won $10 million tomorrow. How would you use it?
Oh man. Probably invest most of it, if not all of it. I would buy a house.
Okay.
Oh, ball pythons, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I would probably buy a house, so then I actually have more space. And then I would definitely buy some very high-end ball pythons that fit into my plans, and then I would probably invest the rest into real estate.
Nice. Okay, yeah, so some hard assets and not necessarily paper assets, like stock market and stuff like that. That's dope, bro. That's a great plan, a great plan. So what's one question you wish I would have asked you, and how would you have answered it? People always say it's the hardest question. Interesting to see.
That is a hard question. Oh man. Dude, I don't know. Can I phone a friend?
Phone a friend.
Ask what question they want you to ask me.
What I should have asked is like, when are you going to send the Ultramare Clown Pie to Gainesville? Because you said you didn't know what you wanted to do with it. So I can tell you what you need to do with it. You need to send it to Gainesville. I can shoot you the hub address. Give my email, my phone number, bro. I got you. I'll take care of that problem for you, bro.
Oh man, that's great.
But yeah,
man, I don't know. That's a hard question though.
Yeah, a lot of people say, man, that's a hard question. I can't think of anything. And then sometimes people sometimes people get some like really good feedback, and I incorporate those in like following episodes, right? Like the first questions that I hit you out the gate with about like stuff outside of reptiles, I think it was Abe, if I'm not mistaken, who said you should ask something like that. And so I've been hitting people with that too. It kind of catch people off guard sometimes because like, oh, whoa, I was coming to talk about reptiles. So yeah. Cool. All right, bro. So tell everyone where they can find you online.
I'm on both Instagram and Facebook at HB Reptiles. Morph Market 2 under HB Reptiles. And that's it. Just those 3 places.
Sweet. And the links for your Facebook, IG, and your Morph Market, if I'm not mistaken, is in the description of this video. So y'all definitely go check out HB Reptiles everywhere on social media, Facebook, IG. Definitely go on Morph Market. Drop them an inquiry, but don't drop an inquiry. Ask for a whole bunch of extra pictures and don't buy nothing. If you drop an inquiry, buy something. Yes, it's still available. Ask you question.
If it's on Morph Market, it's available. Most of the time.
He does some dope stuff. And as you heard throughout this interview, he got some dope stuff on deck, and he got a lot of dope stuff coming in the future. So definitely check him out, bro. It's been great chatting with you tonight. I was really looking forward to this. I'm always looking forward to speaking with the guests. This is like really like one of the highlights of my week. So I really appreciate you taking time out your busy schedule to come kick it with us. You know what I'm saying? Like that really means a lot. And so definitely looking forward to talking to you more in the future. Maybe one day in the future we can get you back on the show again for a round 2. Everybody in the chat, I appreciate y'all being in the chat. The chat been going crazy tonight. Y'all showed out. I really appreciate that. Y'all was here early, just really doing the damn thing. So I really appreciate the support week after week. Everyone, if it's your first time coming to the channel, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. All of that helps us out. We really appreciate it. The audio version of this podcast will be available on all major podcast platforms by the end of the night tonight. And another reminder, if you're in this reptile hobby in any shape, form, or fashion, make sure you're out there supporting U.S. art and U.S. Art Florida.
Sure.
We really appreciate that. You definitely got to support the people that supporting us. They out there fighting the good fight. It's strength in numbers. The link for both organizations are in the description of this video. Again, I really appreciate everyone coming out. Herbert, can you hang out real quick for a few minutes after this?
Yeah,
everyone in the chat, I really appreciate it. Thank y'all for coming out. Be blessed. Peace.